Welcome to Manga Machinations! This is episode number 519, and this is part 5 of our Ooku, the Inner Chambers retrospective. I'm Dakuzu, and with me is Fox8.
Hello, everybody.
Morgana Santilli.
Hi there.
And Seamus2389.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. I hope you are enjoying the start of a fall? Maybe, depending on where you are. It's still freaking hot here in Hawaii.
It's definitely been turning here, but today was pretty warm. It was like in the mid-70s. But it's been getting cooler and crisper.
Yeah. Can only hope for that fall weather to hit us soon. Okay, we're gonna move along right into everything because our stream is up this week. Morgana Darfox fixed his internet.
So exciting. I live to see Darfox on Saturday nights.
Yeah. Very excited.
Our stream is up on youtube.com/mangamactv. We are recording live once again. The technicians have finally fixed the problem. Darfox has his upload speed back. You have a lot of catching up to do, Dar.
I do, yeah.
But yeah, we're going to get right into it because we have a lot of things to talk about this week. So, first, I want to mention if you want to support Manga Machinations, please consider buying us a coffee. You just head over to Manga Machinations. No, wait. It's been a while, so I forgot. You can head over to ko-fi.com/mangamac and buy us a coffee. We'll use that money to help fund our manga reading projects. It's been a while since I've read this splash page that Darfox has up on our feed. Well, yes, our Land of the Lustrous retrospective was funded by Philip. We'll be doing that in the future next year, whenever I get a release date for that final volume. Philip also funded our Berserk Psycho Selection episode, 486, so you can listen to that right now. And our current Ooku the Inner Chambers retrospective is being funded by Manga Machu, Vicky Dalton, and Lulu. Also want to give shout out to everyone else who has funded us. Eliz8E8, Chris from Canada, Deluid, Mia, Wyatt, Dr. Melface, Poor Mexican 72, Liquidus002, Extine, and Jen. Thank you all so much for supporting us. Okay, after the coffee, let's move on to an email. Well, technically, this is a comment. I think we've gotten a comment before on our Libsyn podcast page, but it's rare. Usually we get emails, but we got a comment here via our Libsyn podcast host from our listener Neptic. Neptic has written another podcast review before, so thank you, Neptic. And they wrote this message for us, titled Movie Suggestion. Hello, Manga Machinations cast. I am an avid listener, and this is my first email ever. I don't know if you do movie recommendations, but I recently watched a movie called Swing Girls, and I know Dakuzu is a music teacher / jazz enthusiast, and I very much thought you would like this movie, if you haven't already watched it. It's a feel-good movie with a fairly simple plot about a group of female high schoolers that got interested in playing brass instruments after they accidentally made the entire official brass band sick and started practicing to replace them. I don't know how technically correct the brass instrument playing is and if it would be up to your standards, as I have no musical background. But the movie brought a big smile to my face as I was watching it. It's a fairly old movie released in 2004, but it's still good and I definitely recommend it for Dakuzu to give it a try, or any of the other podcast members. Well, thank you for your email, Neptic. I appreciate that.
I just want to take a moment to mourn the fact that they said that 2004 was fairly old.
Yep. I also like cringed at that as well.
Welcome to my world.
To be fair, that is the year I started high school, but it was a bit of a gut punch.
Yeah. I mean, it was literally 20 years ago.
It's fine. Yep. It's fine.
So this movie, Swing Girls, I've not seen it, but I have now. The entire movie is free on YouTube.
So you saw it?
I did.
Did you like the brass instruments?
Waiting for the shoe to drop.
No, it's a cute movie. I mean, musically, it's yeah. It is not up to the standards as Neptic wrote it. Like, but that's not really the point of the movie. It's just like a feel good like story about these like teenage girls who are stuck in like summer courses, remedial classes, and to get out of like a class, they decide to deliver like the bentos to the brass band. Technically, it's a concert band. Okay, I'm starting already. The band left to go like to cheer on the high school baseball team because they were like entering a tournament. You know how you have like the marching band at the game playing along, that kind of stuff. So they forgot their food, and all these girls are like, "Hey, we'll deliver this food so we can get out of these stupid classes." And yeah, they end up traveling in the hot sun. So because they missed a train, their station, they had to walk, and everyone gets food poisoning except like the one guy who's like kind of the loser of the concert band because they ate his lunch ahead of time. He's like, "Hey, what happened to my lunch?" They're like, "Oh, we don't know." So besides one person, like everyone else gets sick, and then they have to play for another game next weekend. And to make up for it, he's like, "Hey, you guys should like play instruments and like help us out," which is a ridiculous like idea. Learning to play like a brass instrument in a week. I mean, they start making some sound by the end of the week, which is I think is fucking ridiculous. But anyway, it happens. But the concert band gets better, and they're able to make the thing. And then the girls are all sad because they started getting into music. So then they try, thinking about, hey, maybe we can do this band stuff on our own and make our own like swing band group. And so a ragtag group of like teens kind of like get together and start practicing and start performing. And at first they're horrible. Eventually they're gonna go do a big performance at a big like festival thing. And oh no, we never got accepted. And the main girl is like, I didn't tell the others, but we're on our way to go there, but the snowstorm hit us. But it turns out good in the end. It's a feel good movie. It's fine. I don't think we need to watch it for the podcast. We don't need to watch this for the podcast.
Are you sure?
But if we want to watch a fun, relaxing movie, it sounds like a good option.
Yeah. Like I said, musically it's like it's nonsense. The funniest part is there's the remedial class teacher. Turns out he's a huge jazz enthusiast and he talks a big game, but he's just a beginner when it comes to playing. And he has a crush on the music teacher who runs the concert band. And the music teacher makes this comment about like, so you guys are doing swing? I just don't understand jazz. And I was like, what? You're a fucking music teacher and you don't understand? And she's like, oh, because I'm a classic music teacher. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? This line makes zero sense. Anyway.
Well, that was very big of you, Dr. to see past your music stuff to see a nice movie.
I didn't look at this with a critical eye, Dar. I didn't have to. I didn't have to judge it to a standard.
You just batted one eye at it and knew it was trash.
I mean, when the musical aspect of like, hey, we need to start playing in a week, and in a week they kind of are making sounds, but they're obviously bad. And I was just like, okay, well, reality went out the window. It's just fucking don't worry about that. There's no sense fighting it, Dar. I don't have to worry about that. So yeah, it's a fun movie, and it's free on YouTube, so people should check it out. I thought it was really funny though. They had to censor the ending credits because they're singing oh god, what is the name of the song? It's a very, very famous like. Okay, I'm not going to get into it because I'm having a brain fart. Sorry. People can look up the end of like Swing Girls, a 2004 movie from Japan. Anyway, thank you so much for your email, Neptic. We appreciate it. Usually, like, we take some suggestions sometimes, but usually we mostly have a plan about what we're doing and what we're looking into. So, but we appreciate it, and thank you for giving me something to do. This past Thursday afternoon, I was like, "Oh, what should I do? Oh, I'll watch this movie that was suggested." So that was nice.
Yeah, I mean, feel free to suggest anything. I mean, we will never guarantee that we will actually like watch it or read it, but I'm always interested to hear different options.
Believe it or not, we don't know all of what's out there. Which I've been noticing more and more as I like every time I read an article about manga, I'm like, I didn't know half of these things were out. What are these? And I do a lot of that for work, looking at like, articles about manga.
Yeah, but there's so much now.
There's so much. It's we live in privileged times.
It's pretty wild. Okay, let's move along from an email. And next, let's do some what you been reading. We'll start with Morgana. Did you read anything, or you want to update us about Severina's movie watching habits?
We watched Hocus Pocus yesterday, which is one she's seen before, so I feel like that's cheating. I have not read anything. I do want to mention something I just got today, though. Let me get you a link. So, have we talked about Piao Studios before? They're a small press publisher.
I don't think we have.
So Piao, I believe they're based in Europe. I want to say Sweden. Don't quote me on that. But they are a small press company, and they do these anthology magazines. And they came out with they're called X Mag, and Volume 5 came out, or is sorry, technically it's coming out in November, but I kickstarted this so that I could get Volume 5, which is called Bloodsucker, and it is a collection of vampire comics from all over the world. I've only read the first one so far, but part of the reason I was interested in it is because I mean the cover. So you see on the page that Darfox has up on a stream. There's like that's a fold out poster that like dude with the fangs in the front. But there's the cover, which is like a guy with like a yellow cape. There's also like a dust jacket that's really gorgeous on this Kickstarted edition. And there is an artist inside who I really like. Takato Yamamoto does a piece in this. So it's just like it's a really cool collection of vampire comics. It's done in 3 color, so there's black and white and red, or like various tones of red. There's some pink. So it's really just a gorgeous book. They do have, I believe they do also have digital editions of their. Yeah, that's Takato Yamamoto on the stream right now. They do have digital editions of these magazines. So with this that I backed, I also got a couple of the digital previous volumes because they were also things I was interested in. I can't remember what they were. I think there's a fantasy one and something else. But Piao is really cool. They put out some really cool stuff. I like a lot of the artists they work with, and I just wanted to mention this. If anybody is interested in small press comics, indie comics, vampires, this collection is officially coming out. On their website it says, I think November 15th. So I believe you can just buy it from there. It might just be digital. I'm not sure if you need to have kickstarted it to get the printed edition. I'm not entirely sure how that works out. This is the first one I've gotten from them. But yeah, it's cool stuff, and I just wanted to put it out there because I thought there might be other people interested, especially as we move into spooky season.
Oh, we should read this.
Yeah, I mean, I've only read the first story so far because again, I just got this in the mail today, and it was really good. It was very much an homage to Carmilla. It's like this really like gorgeous story about like, you know, a wealthy woman who becomes a vampire, young woman, and she's kind of haunting a girl she used to know she was raised with and was raised to kind of be her counterpart in a lot of ways. So it's this idea of like identity and just really it's really beautiful stuff. There's a lot of really cool stuff in here. So yeah, if we're able to get it digitally, I definitely think we should check it out. And the other stuff that Piao puts out, it's cool. Again, it's comics from all over the world. It's not just Europe or Japan. So some really cool stuff in there.
Is there actual manga in here? Because it looks like this book reads left to right.
It reads left to right. Takato Yamamoto is in here, and they are Japanese. I think it reads left to right, though. I'm not sure. But the book does indeed read left to right, like an American comic.
Okay. Yeah, this is really cool.
Oh, the Takato Yamamoto stuff they're all just illustrations. They're gorgeous. And an essay.
Sounds like a good candidate for left to right.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that in general, this group, us hosts, would be interested in the stuff that Piao puts out.
Very cool, Morgana. Anything else?
No, that'll do it for me.
Okay, next we'll move along to Seamus. Seamus, I saw you were reading a lot of Punisher. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I finished it up, and then they did a follow-on series years later called Fury. Mostly about Nick Fury, bit of Frank Castle.
So you're talking about finishing the Punisher Max run of Garth Ennis, which you read like part of, right, for that left to right on Punisher.
I read like Punisher Born, like that was like a 4-issue miniseries, and then it was like Punisher Max, which I think was like 60 issues. But like it ties into like it's basically a continuation of Punisher Born, and like the final volume is called Valley Forge, and there's like a framing device where the brother of one of the soldiers from Punisher Born, like there's just excerpts from his book where he's like trying to figure out like what happened to his brother. He's interviewed a lot of people involved. While a bunch of the guys, I don't know that I ever talk about where a bunch of US military people decided it'd be a good idea if they had their own equivalent of like 9/11, they could like do at will to another country.
Jesus Christ.
Which they did to Moscow. And then they realized, you know what, Frank Castle knows about this. We need to get rid of him.
Of course.
And then they were like, you know who he won't kill? He won't kill soldiers, which they were correct. But what they didn't realize was that things would work out in such a way that he would not be killed by the soldiers, and he would instead kill them. Not that it really mattered, because no information was going to be publicly released anyway, so, you know, the war machine would continue on.
As it does. Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, that's in the Punisher Max and Fury My War Gone By. It's like, yeah, none of these people matter as individuals. Like, they're all just talking shit to themselves. You know, the beast will be fed, blood will be shed, war profits need to be made.
Is that basically like the take Ennis has with like the Punisher? Using that as a framing device to be like, hey, look at the American war economy.
I think like Punisher Born to Punisher Valley Forge is that. And like Fury, like My War Gone By is all about that. It's like Nick Fury in Punisher. You're like, this guy's not so bad because he won't kill kids. Or do a 9/11 on another country. So this is the low bar. And then if you were it's like, yeah, but he's no problem working for the people who will, because like they'll keep sending him out to war, because he, like Frank, wants to be in constant war. Just the difference is that like Frank Castle just does it like his own private war, just killing like thousands of people in the US, and Nick Fury just goes off and is responsible for thousands of people dying in other countries on behalf of the US.
This is so depressing.
It's great. I was like, this probably is one of the best like long running American comics that's ever been put out.
Do you know what's funny? I went to a festival today, like a fall festival, and there was a booth there. It was like a diversity, equity, and inclusion booth, and they were celebrating the International Day of Peace. And they had this list of the top 20 most peaceful countries in the world. Spoilers, the US is not one of them. But number 2 is Ireland. I did not realize that Ireland is so peaceful.
Why would you, what how did it define peaceful? Like, is it like
I have
never
no idea.
I
I have
was
no
about
idea.
to say.
I have no idea. Iceland was number 1, Ireland was number 2, and then, there were 20 of them. Japan was in there somewhere. I mean, Japan has a very low crime rate, I know. And they didn't have a standing military for a long. Does Japan currently have a standing military?
they're not an army, they're a self-defense force.
Ah,
Yes, they do.
okay. So yes.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
Anyway, all this talk about war made me think about peace.
Give it a chance.
That's what I'm saying.
Don't tell that to the Punisher or Nick Fury.
Some men can't live in a world of peace, I guess.
Well, tell that to all the people who like gain from war.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Lockheed Martin doing well in the last 12 months.
Sorry, Seamus. I was about to say the Punisher, the Tiger, and Punisher, the End. That was part of the Max Punisher Ennis run, right?
I guess they were collected in the final volume, but they were like separate one-off issues.
Ah, okay.
But they're also like part of the same. Like I think he's like doing a new series. Him and what's your man's name? Pavlov, who did like Fury and like the End of Punisher. Like they're doing one now
Sure.
called like Fury. Like no, is it what's it called? Punisher get Fury or Fury get something? Or I think it's like Frank Castle's been to like is like given the job to kill Nick Fury. I haven't actually read anything about it or like I just heard it's meant to be. I think it's been published this year. No idea. But he did like Punisher Platoon, Punisher Soviet. Like he's gone back a few years, like every few years, and done something new.
I assume you're gonna want to read that.
Maybe I heard Platoon is all right, but it's kind of just like he's back in Vietnam again. Soviet's kind of like he's in Afghanistan in the 1980s. That one's kind of interesting. I might read because that kind of also comes up in Punisher Max, except it's in the 2000s. And then the new Fury one, I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
We shall see. All right, thanks, Seamus. Well, Darfox,
Right.
we recorded something yesterday.
We did. We live streamed something yesterday.
Yeah, Darfox celebrating his internet working again and was going to do a stream talking about his predictions for the upcoming information coming out of Tokyo Game Show about Death Stranding 2, aka Packages.
Packages squared.
Exactly, Packages squared. And yeah, I just happened to wake up yesterday and see that he was putting it up, and I was like, hey, do you want someone to talk to while you record this? I was like, yeah. Then I joined in, and little did I realize that we'd be there for 2 hours.
You should have known. It was very helpful though, because I'm not. It's weird that I'm on a podcast every week for the past like 15 years or some shit, but I'm not good at talking alone. I need people.
I don't think anyone is really great talking alone unless they're
Yeah.
like doing like a news broadcast or just like stating some facts.
Some people are good at it. They're either just good at it or they develop the skill, but
Or they write, they prepare, you know,
yeah, maybe.
like a video essayist does. Like they actually write a script, not like talking off the top of their head or whatever.
But either way, it was very useful. Thank you for being there, Dagazu. It was a lot of fun. It's on my personal YouTube channel. I didn't pollute the Manga Mac TV YouTube with it, so you could go to Darfox8 to watch the live streams archived up there. And I have another live stream scheduled, like right after this podcast ends. I'm gonna roll into another live stream where I watch the Tokyo Game Show stage presentation.
Oh boy.
For Death Stranding 2, which I'm pretty excited about because it's like 90 minutes long and I'm pretty sure they're going to show gameplay. However, I've been tempering my expectations a little bit because Kojima has been like posting a lot of pictures of fashion, and he has done this before. He has done stage presentations where just look at this fashion we're selling, and there's nothing for the gamers. It's just fashion. So like like it could go either way. It's a 50-50 coin flip. It could be like a 30-minute demo of Death Stranding 2 first time we see the game, or it could just be like a bunch of cool jackets with logos on it. We'll find out either way. I'll be there live. Dogs might join. If he joins me though, I didn't want to like hold Dogs to it because it's all in Japanese. So if he joins me, he's gonna have the compulsion to translate for me, and that's like a hard thing to do, especially after recording a whole podcast.
We'll see
Uh,
how I feel after this.
yeah. Um, but I'll definitely watch him. Maybe I'll rope a Lightning Bolt, and maybe we'll watch together. Just have fun. Watching a bunch of models wear some cool stylish jackets, and I'd be like, "Whoa, that's cool! That's not gonna be sold in America, and it's not gonna be sold in my size, so it's not for me." Don't go to Uniqlo if you're big. You're just gonna be sad.
Yeah, Uniqlo sizes only go up to like an L, I want to say. Maybe an XL, but usually it's an L, American L.
Yeah, big L for me. But yeah, I'm very excited about Death Stranding. I made a lot of like weird predictions on there, so I have kind of a good track record of predicting Kojima nonsense. So we'll see.
We shall. Starfox, is there anything else you want to talk about? I thought you got a delivery this week too.
I did. I was getting it ready. Just previously when James was talking. So,
Pulling it up on stream. It's been a couple weeks. Let's see it.
so I finally well, not finally. I realized that the big fancy Trigun Deluxe Edition was out. I thought this was way further out, but they're actually pushing it out pretty quick, and the next one is out in October, I think. And then after that, we might have one in November. So they're kind of pushing them out, which is kind of crazy. I'm happy to have them out. But uh, um, Wyatt recommended me a website to order it from. And the website is one of those websites that has like a order cap to get free shipping. So I ordered some random other books. I ordered a Star Trek comic that I wasn't that interested in, but it has Benjamin Sisko, my favorite captain, and I said, it's Sisko kind of interacting with a couple other characters from Star Trek that he never actually interacted with in the show. So it's Data and Beverly from TNG. So like that might be fun. And then I got a recommendation from Wyatt, and I'm pretty much always down to take Wyatt's recommendations. Eventually, he always gets antsy when I don't like read. To be fair, it takes me a long time to get to the things he recommends. But
He was asking us yesterday while we were playing a video game. He popped in chat and he was like, "Hey, have you read it yet?" Dar laughed and was like,
No.
no.
no. But I got Hexagon Bridge. I don't know anything about it, but the art looks pretty nice. So, but the main event is this shrink wrap copy of Dragon Deluxe, which I will unshrink wrap on stream live. So consider this an unboxing.
Okay. This really doesn't play on an audio podcast. Just saying.
What's the Japanese onomatopoeia for like shrink wrap?
What, shrink wrap ripping? Bitty.
I was literally memeing when I said that, but there actually is one. So I should have known.
Of course there's.
Of course there is. There's a sound effect for like leaning like a little forward.
Which
It's
is
ridiculous.
What's the little forward lean?
S.
That's what gamers do all the time.
But it's also used for like a million other like moves as well, or like actions. It's so annoying.
So yeah.
I was gonna say I hadn't even realized they put this out until I saw that it had come out when I was doing a report. And they're doing maximum as well. So they're gonna have I think there's gonna be like 5 of those though.
Yeah, so basically this volume that I hold in my hands is all of the original Dragon manga.
It's 3 volumes, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's all in here, and it ends with the cliffhanger that eventually leads you to maximum. Just like Berserk, it brings this kind of like loose sheet underneath the shrink wrap that once you shrink wrap it, it's not attached in any way, but this is just like the backup book, what do we call it, copy and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And also just like Berserk, this is very similar to the Berserk Deluxe, except that it's better because it's Trigun. Don't worry.
Hey, take a look inside. See if they redid the sound effects, because they didn't do those.
I doubt it. I don't think they updated Berserk or
Oh,
Hellsing.
really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they
Jeez.
just enlarged it and repackaged it. I think both Berserk and Hellsing for the deluxe editions.
Man, I would be
Um,
disappointed as a fan.
no, they did they didn't redo the sound effects. They added subtitle sound effects that weren't there before. So I'm gonna show
Okay,
you a
yeah,
page.
because they didn't even have those when we
Okay,
rated for the podcast.
that's a good chain. Yeah.
Squee, Clang. Some of these weren't in there, if not any of them. So they did, I guess, what you might consider something like the bare minimum or like the default option to translating um sound effects, which wasn't in the original. So yes, this is updated. It wasn't. I don't think it was updated for this collection. I think this update happened before. They have re-released the Trigon volumes in the past, and that update has happened before this. So this just has the most current version.
I wonder if
Yeah.
that's what we read for the podcast. I guess not.
Well, because they had a Trigun omnibus. I think it was the whole series in one volume, but it was a paperback, and I bet you they updated it for that because that was a
Oh,
while
yeah,
ago.
we bought the first part,
Yeah,
which was
yeah.
not, so probably not.
The,
Okay.
the yeah, it was like the digital. So, just like the Berserk, it brings a ribbon to act as your bookmark. Sorry, my brain. I had a really long day at work today. Um, After the hurricane, everybody just was rushing to the library for some reason. Like, honey, we survived the hurricane. Let's go return these books. It was nuts. Um, so very very neat. Kind of gives you that like kind of like prestige kind of book feeling that you have this ribbon that you could like hold your place. You don't need a bookmark. But yeah, I'm excited to reread it. Um, I will report back whether blowing up Yasuhiro Naito's art into this huge format makes it easier or harder to read, because it's already hard to read. We always harp on it, but his action is very confusing, and his two-page spreads are very detailed and elaborate, but just cluttered and like not very readable. You eventually grow a third eye, a Yasuhiro Naito third eye, and you get to like understand what's happening. But like it's definitely an acquired taste. But um, I'm very happy to have this. Thank you, White, for the tips on where to buy it cheap, and thank you, Dark Horse, for paying attention to Trigon. I know they don't always pay attention to their manga, so I'm glad they pay attention to Trigon.
They should
Very
pay
nice,
attention to
Star.
their manga. It's the only thing that freaking sells. I
As we always say.
I see the sales numbers every week, and the Berserk Deluxe editions are by and far their best sellers week by week. Just even though they're a huge price point, and even though they're a big ass book, they're selling really well. So
Yep. Okay. We'll move along from Darfox, and we'll end with me. This week I'm not going to talk about manga. Darfox talked about manga. Seamus talking about comics. We're good. Because last week the Dead Demons Destruction anime ended, and so I was able to watch all 18 episodes. There's episode 0 and then 17 episodes after that. So it's this is gonna be spoilers. So I should have told Darfox to make like a spoiler thing on like the screen or something. But let's see, the anime's over on Crunchyroll. The first couple episodes, I don't know if they re-subtitled them, but whoever was handling the subtitle job, they were doing a really bad job. I think they were just doing the English dubs as subtitles, and so it
my
didn't match.
favorite.
Yeah, Darfox was also saying that's like the worst choice. But there was a lot of text on screen, Morgana, and in the first couple episodes they didn't translate any of the text, even though it's really important.
Oh, good.
So like I noticed there was a change halfway through the run where like, oh, they actually started subtitling those, so they did listen to whatever consumer feedback about how this is bad. But yeah, Darfox, you read some Dead Demons, Dead Destruction. I think on an episode I was out.
Yes.
And Seamus, you read a bunch of volumes, right? But you dropped off of this series.
Yeah, I read up to a certain point.
Okay. Obviously, Morgana, you don't want to touch Inio Sano with a 10-foot pole, so.
No, I think I don't know if you could pay me. I don't know. This one seems very different from his other stuff, but I just feel like
The cast is mostly young women, right?
yeah, I just feel like I don't trust him. I've been led astray before.
I think this one is not too bad. But
Sure, this is the manga where we sold out, isn't it?
oh, because like he went for the anime and everything.
Well, isn't that the thing with Oh Christ, what was that thing we read?
I'm a Hero.
No, remember he did that like
Oh,
Downfall. Was it Downfall?
Yeah.
Is that what I'm thinking?
and I have read that one and it fucking sucked.
You were like the good one. You were yeah.
Yeah. He did Downfall while or as he finished Dead Demons, I think. But anyway, getting back to the anime is produced very well, but people were complaining, and I mentioned this the first time I talked about this anime, that they changed the chronological order of like the events that as you read the manga, because the manga also jumps in time about like what happens. People don't know Dead Demons takes place in Tokyo, where a mysterious alien mothership suddenly appears above Tokyo. But life goes on, and then you follow these two friends, Kadode with glasses, and Ontan, her quirky eccentric friend, and they're still living their lives even though there's this crazy alien spaceship that no one knows about and no one knows what to do above Tokyo. And I think the story that he told here was pretty good. It was pretty good. Do you before I start getting into spoilers, Star Fox, Morgana, Seamus, do you care about the spoilers for this?
Nope.
Nope.
No, I've kind of been spoiled already, so I'm good.
Okay, so the thing that's interesting about this series is if you watch the anime starts at the end in the future of the series. Because at the beginning of the series, Kadode, the girl with glasses, her father is a manga editor for Kengo Hanazawa, which is ongoing running joke between Inio Sano and Kengo Hanazawa of I'm a Hero, where they put each other in like their manga in kind of like shitty like representations.
Like derogatory ways.
Yeah, like in I'm a Hero, Inio Sano shows up as like a cult leader running like kind of a shitty or survivor organization in the zombie apocalypse.
Very megalomaniacal, like it's just for his own benefit.
Yeah, and then Kengo Anazawa shows up here as kind of like a shitty manga artist, who Kadode's father has to deal with all the time. But he only shows up like a little bit.
It's so funny. I have very little interest in either of these men's work, but I also feel like having a friend that you could make fun of in your manga is like best friend goals.
Yes, it's great.
I think that's pretty great. I have to applaud them for that.
Yes, one of my favorite mangas is Semai Sekai no Identity or Small World Identity. That's the manga I talked about. It takes place in the manga creator industry, but they do just fucking fist fights and shurikens. This is by Rensuke Oshikiri, who did High Score Girl. And yeah, I always talk about the demon Kazuta Fujita, which is fucking great. Anyway, getting back to Dead Demons. At the beginning of the series, Kadode's father ends up going to the place when the alien ship appears and he goes missing. So he's basically, assumed dead. And later, at the very end of the series, you jump to him, and it turns out the insides had been replaced by one of the alien invaders who is living through his body, and then he regains consciousness like many years later after like significant events have happened. So, I guess the thing is, Kadode seems like the normal straight girl, and her friend Ontan is very like quirky and weird. But through flashbacks in the series, you find out that both Karode and Ontan ran into one of these alien invaders who were here earlier as a surveyor. And things went really bad. Like, the alien invader acted like a Doraemon, the very popular children's Japanese, cartoon series about a futuristic robot that helps out like a dumb kid with like scientific tools from the future to go have adventures and be like a better person. And there is like an equivalent of Doraemon here in Dead Demons world called Isobeyan. Very good, like fun homage Inio Sano does to Doraemon. But anyway, this alien invader in the past gave Karode a bunch of tools, and Karode decided to become her own vigilante assassin to punish people.
Like you do.
Yeah, well, she tries to save like a poor pregnant woman who's stuck waiting at like a train crossing, and she's like, "I'll fix this for you," and she accidentally derails the train and kills a bunch of people, and then she decides to just turn and become like a vigilante punisher.
See, this is what I'm saying. What the fuck? Why is this man so ridiculous? I just feel like, I don't know. Continue. It's fine.
It ends poorly because Karode, once Ontan finds out that this is what has happened, Karode is crushed by her guilt or what she's been doing, and she commits suicide. And then Ontan is upset with the alien, and the alien offers her a solution. I will take you to this location, where we have an alien device here, hidden in this town. This device sends your consciousness to a parallel universe. And you can use that, and it's primitive technology, so you won't remember everything. But you can try and use it to go back into the past and save your friend. And so she does. But this is the reason, Morgana, that has caused... it's because the alien surveyor never met Karode and Ontan in the past. Now the alien spaceship shows up. So Ontan now realizes, because I made the choice to jump to a parallel universe and save Karode, now this current timeline, we have an alien spaceship and bad shit is about to happen. Because at the end of the series, that spaceship blows up and everyone dies. Well, almost everybody, but yeah, it basically nukes all of Tokyo. And, Asano's doing a lot of commentary on, like, America trying to intervene and, like, take advantage of the Japanese government, or the Japanese government being, like, a bunch of figureheads, and for their own purpose, they're building their own device to escape to space without like warning the citizens of like the dangers. Lots of stuff like that. But at the end of the series, it jumps forward to when it's revealed Karode's father is still alive. He's back in control of his body. The alien spaceship has exploded, and he's trying to escape, and he's trying to find the whereabouts of Karode and Ontan. Turns out they've become fighter pilots, acting as a resistance against the Japanese government that's trying to, still ruling things from the skies in Japan. Because once the alien spaceship blows up, it basically like unleashes this thing into the entire Earth that kills a bunch of the population. And so, like, it's post-apocalyptic now. Anyway, Karode's father is guided back to that same device that Ontan originally used to, jump his consciousness to a different timeline. And that's what he does, and therefore he is able to go to a timeline where both Karode and Ontan are fine, the alien spaceship never showed up. And that is the end. Though both this timeline's Karode and Ontan hear the previous timeline's voices in their ears, which suggests that their previous consciousness lives on somewhere in the world. So kind of a happy ending by jumping timelines. Time travel type of ending.
Have I told you how much I dislike time travel in fiction?
I mean, I get it.
I feel like it can be done well, and there are instances of that. It's not like I've totally written off time travel, but it gets so convoluted.
It does. I thought, I guess when you read the manga, the flashback to what happened to Karode and Ontan is revealed a lot later. But when you watch the anime, it happens in like episode 5 and 6. So it was pretty early. So it's kind of interesting how the anime chose to restructure like how you're seeing the events. Like even starting with, Kadode's father in the near future where, things have gone really shitty. So that was kind of interesting. But as far as the storyline goes and everything and the political commentary that Inuyasha is doing, I thought it was fairly well done. And I agree, Morgana. The time travel stuff it's pretty like it feels like a little bit of a cop out to be like, oh, we're jumping realities. But I like the idea that this character Ontan wanted to save her friend Kadode, who made a bad mistake and killed herself. And that is the reason why this current timeline is so fucked with the alien invasion. Like, I felt that was a good reveal, story-wise, for Gravitas. And, of course, Inio Asano's design of the spaceship, design of, like, the aliens when they're around, like, in their environment, they say, like, it's a weird, like, zone of radiation that's happening, and it's represented by Japanese hiragana letters, inversed. They're like backwards and upside down and stuff like that. And that was like a kind of a cool representation. Even the mech designs that Inio Asano came up with, they're from his Manben episode that he did, Naoki Urasawa's Manben, where he was working on Dead Demons, Dead Destruction. And he was using like common tools and objects around his apartment to kind of like shape them into like mechs and stuff like that. So that, from a technical aspect, his manga and his design is very impressive. Story-wise, I feel like this one works fairly well. It's not that dark compared to something like Downfall, or even, his titular work, Goodbye Pum Pum. But yeah, a lot of parallels, Star Fox and Seamus, about like, there's groups that are going around killing the alien invaders. The alien invaders are kind of like a their actual existence in this place is like, it feels like they're immigrants, like in real world, like not immigrants, but what's the term when you're you don't have your country anymore?
Refugees,
yeah.
Very, very District 9.
Yeah, and there's a very like dark othering of these alien invaders, like, they don't feel anything, but it clearly shows them like caring for each other and being very human-like, and protests and all parts of that. So
it's like Asama Inio saw District 9 and then said, what if I add like quirky high school girls to it?
I think that's kind of the most interesting thing about Dead Demons, Dead Destruction, because you had some of that stuff in Goodbye Pum Pum, but he went full in on like super cartoony looking characters. Like, most of the characters do not look normal. They look something out of like a Doraemon or stuff like that.
That's really interesting. And to be fair to Inyo Asano, the only works I've read of his completely are two standalones. I've read Downfall most recently, and the first book I ever read of his was Girl on the Shore. You guys read that? Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I liked it, but it's also just like, okay, this is where we are. This sounds like it's very different. But I just don't know if I feel up to it.
Yeah, I mean, we understand.
But no, it's interesting. It's a very different. I feel like it's a departure. Well, I mean, I guess like I've read some of Pun Pun, and that definitely had some. I remember it being a little bit like kind of dreamlike in some aspects. I mean, this you're talking about like time travel and things like that. I don't know what it looks like in the manga, but I do remember some of Pun Pun being kind of like weird and kind of otherworldly in some ways, or like subconscious thoughts kind of displayed on the page.
Yeah, it's very creative. I don't think you'd like Pum Pum if you read all of it, Morgana.
Yeah, I don't think so. I noped out. They were released in English in like those big, I think they're like 2-in-1s. I think I read like a quarter or a half of the first one, and I was like, I think I'm good.
It gets very dark.
Yeah, I think I was like, all right, I get it. That's cool.
When the cute like bird family has like domestic violence early on,
Yeah.
and you're like, what's going on in this book? What's going on?
Yeah, I was like, it's that kind of book. We're gonna have big feelings about things that are. I think I'm out. I think I'm out.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, it to me, having read like the first volume, and I think I started reading the second volume. I don't remember if I finished it. Um, and hearing like the synopsis that Agatha just gave, to me just feels like, uh, Asano Inio has different storytelling kind of emotions. Um, and it feels like whatever part of the graph that has all this extreme like depression, he just kind of toned it down a little bit and toned up more of like the goofy like magical realism and weirdness, because like the other stuff is in Poon Poon, like we said, and it's very little of it is in Downfall. Downfall, he really turned down like the goofiness.
Downfall is so depressed.
Yeah.
I had to read that for work. I reviewed that. I don't know if I'm supposed to tell you this. I reviewed that for Publishers Weekly, and it was just such a like. I could like when I read it, I was like, okay, I can respect why this is like a good thing, like a good book. I also just hated every moment of it.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm interested in getting around to either watching the anime or reading Dead Destruction, because yeah, I like Asano Inio stuff, but depending on how he configures his superpowers, it can be kind of miserable and like not even that interesting.
I think this is interesting enough to like watch Thundar. I think if you want to consume Dead Demons Dead Destruction, this anime is probably like a good way to do it.
I think that, one of the benefits that this has, and again, this is having not read or watched it at all. I think that having it be about a friendship between high school girls really changes the tone. You know what I mean? Like a lot of his stuff, I feel from what I've read, is like being a dude is hard, and my penis has a whole lot of sad feelings.
Yeah.
And
That's Poon Poon.
yeah, and like yeah, so I feel like this, naturally would not have that problem just by
Yeah.
virtue of the story.
The other theme that I didn't mention is it has that, because of the structure of the alien mothership just being over Tokyo and people just go about their like daily lives like they don't care, like it's not bothering them. I get that. I get that commentary. People go about their daily lives in the real world even though many injustices may be happening all around them. But Morgana, maybe we should read Solonin. You might like that.
That is one I actually have not read and does seem interesting to me. That one
Yeah.
I would actually be interested in checking out. So I haven't written off Inio Asano completely, okay?
Not yet.
As long as it's not one of his books about a dude being sad, I think I might be able to see past, my fears.
Okay.
See, we can do this with Inio Asano, but we can't do this with Oshimi Shuzo. We've burned that bridge.
I mean, there isn't anything else. and I would be honest, I like his art a lot. Shuzo
Yes.
Oshimi. I really do. I just have no interest in being that upset when I read.
Oh man, but what if we read Devil's Ecstasy, Darfox? Maybe Morgana will like that one.
No, I'm good. I'm good with that one.
Okay.
He does have an art book that gets it to me, so that might be the best way for you to just consume Oshimi Shuzo by just like flipping
His
the
art.
art book and be like, wow, look at all these like really nice lines and really interesting kind of portraits.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, I'm done with Dead Demons Dead Destruction, so we can end what you've been reading. Yeah, let's move along. Before we talk about our main stuff, let's talk about next week. Next week, we'll be ending our Ooku the Inner Chambers retrospective. it's time to finish up this series. We will be reading 4 volumes for next week. Volumes 16, 17, 18, and 19. Little extra reading as we end everything. I think next week we will try to keep the first part of this podcast very short so we can spend a lot of time talking about those 4 volumes and the series as a whole. So look forward to the end of our Ooku, the Inner Chambers retrospective next week. Okay, everybody, we're going to take the stream down for a second, and when we come back, it'll be time to talk about... what part is this? Part 5. Part 5 of Ooku, the Inner Chambers. Okay, everybody, we are back. This is part 5 of our Ooku the Inner Chambers retrospective. We'll be talking about volumes 13 through 15. Let me just pull up my copy here. Okay, I forgot to talk about this for the past couple episodes. We'll be doing this retrospective, but the localization team is translation and adaptation by Akemi Wegmuller, touch-up art and lettering Mona Lisa de Assis, design Yukiko Whitley, and editor Pancha Diaz. Seems like the creative localization team has been the same throughout.
That's always a good sign.
Yeah. So yeah, Ooku the Inner Chambers, the alternate history of Edo era Japan, where the this fictional red-faced pox has wiped out the male population, so they had to replace male government figures with female versions. So instead of the male shogun, we have the female shogun, and instead of a female harem, which was the real Ooku, we have the Ooku that is filled with males. And a lot of things have happened in the history. In the last episode, we talked about how the red-faced pox has been cured, and now we are moving on to the 11th. No, we had the 11th, so we're moving on to the 12th and 13th shoguns. But here, I'll start by reading the copy on the back of volume 13. After the discovery of the red-faced pox vaccine, the male population of Japan has nearly recovered, and men have become used to being in public life and government again. So as the first female shogun in over 60 years, Iesada has many challenges to overcome, such as an inner chamber unused to a woman's needs. But the greatest threat she faces is her own father's unhealthy interest in her. Yep, Fumio Shinaga went there. I mean, Ianari was the first male shogun in the last bunch of volumes, so we didn't have to worry about that up till now. But yeah, it's happened.
I love how we basically didn't even touch on her father. With Iaharu, her father's actual reign, just how he's a dirtbag. I don't know anything about his politics.
No, Iaharu was the... No, was it Harusada? Harusada was the evil woman, who was the father of Ianari, the 11th shogun.
Yeah, okay. No, Harusada was the mother of Iaharu. Iesada is who I'm talking about. So,
okay.
So Iesada, her father, sucks. And he was the shogun for a while, but we almost see none of his actual being shogun because he just sucks so much. We just know that he sucks.
Apparently that matches his historical reign. He was considered a shitty one, and like his father, had a lot of kids.
A lame duck shogun.
Yeah, he did these things called tempo reforms, which was to stabilize the economy through return to frugality and simplicity and discipline of character, and it was very unpopular with everybody. So yeah, Fumio Yoshinaga took this opportunity to take this 12th shogun Ieyasu and be like, this guy's gonna be a fucking peddler for his own daughter. God, poor Iesada.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like as we were reading through these volumes, Iesada was saved from her fate, thanks to Abe Masahiro.
The MVP.
The MVP, yeah.
My favorite character.
Oh, you loved her? Yeah,
I
she's
loved
great.
her. I think this set of volumes had my favorite set of characters. Oh, look at Dar's chocolate cake on the screen.
Why did you hold it up right to
So
Dar Fox is trying to distract us from the fact that he only read volume 13 because he read out of time.
But yeah, I just really like this group of characters. I really like their relationships. I really like that they cared about each other. I feel like there's a lot of this series where people are backstabbing or their life is so dramatic and terrible all the time. But Iesada, she had a really difficult childhood, but Masahiro Abe works really hard to make her life easier, and really good things happen to her. And I would just like I really like that for her. And of course, it does end tragically, and everything's terrible. But there's a span of time there where I'm like, wait, this is awesome. Like a lot of difficult political things are happening, but the people are getting along.
Yeah, Abe Masahiro scouts Takiyama to become the new senior chamberlain of the Ooku.
And he's great also.
He's a stand-up dude. And then she's able to get was it Tani Atsu to become the third consort after Iesada's first two consorts were fucking poisoned and herself was poisoned by her father. Jesus Christ, that guy's such a fucking monster.
Terrible. And Taneatsu also kind of unexpectedly great dude.
Yeah, even though he was sent as a spy for the Sakuma to, convince Iesada to appoint somebody else who they want to be the next shogun.
For the first time, there were 4 characters who was like, these people are pretty cool and like people I actually like and could get on. I feel like since like I don't know Yoshimune, there have been very few characters where I was like, yeah, I stand behind this person.
It doesn't last. It's mostly for volume 14 of like,
yeah,
this seems to be going well and we're happy for everybody, and then like, yeah, just no, it doesn't last. Sorry, Morgana, go ahead.
No, this was a very enjoyable set of volumes, and actually when I got to the end of the last one, because we have the rest, I was very tempted to go ahead and read 16, and I was like, I'm gonna wait so that I don't forget by the time we actually could talk about it.
15 ends on quite the cliffhanger. Sorry,
quite the cliffhanger, yes. And I was like, wait, what?
Go ahead.
That's fucking crazy. No, I just really enjoyed this, and I was talking to my husband about like the politics of like opening borders to the United States and signing this peace treaty, and how like the elder whatever they fucked it up because the senior chamberlain fucked it up because they were like, oh, we need the emperor's permission, and I was like, I don't think I could have cared about these politics if you just like put me in a Japanese history class, you know what I mean? Having this like personal drama involved makes me feel much more invested in the like political history as well.
I mean, the trajectory of this series needs to end with the Tokugawa shogunate, so Fumio Shinaga had kind of no choice but to really bring in like the politics that were happening that led to the end of the Tokugawa shogunate. But she does it very well. Yeah, she ties it really well. Sorry, you were gonna say.
Oh no, just that I'm actually interested. Again, for the most part, I'm here for the messy drama, and all the like sex and backstabbing and relationships. Even though that's not like typically my favorite kind of story, there's something very, I don't know. Fumio Yoshinaga is really good at it. Good at making it entertaining. But I have to say, like, I'm also just like, I get really excited when one of, especially the female shogun, is like good at politics, and I'm like, oh yeah, like that's a great trait to have. I don't know, she's a great leader. Also, really found it fascinating how quickly it became easy for men to kind of reassume roles, even though it's been a couple hundred years since they were in major political roles or whatever. There's definitely like a push toward male shogun and men in leadership positions and men doing hard labor in the aftermath of the red-faced pox. And it's like, how quickly would society go back to that? Because I don't know, it's very hard to get people to change their minds about what they think is the correct thing or what has always been done, you know what I mean?
I think
Yeah.
they try to portray it as that it had momentum on both sides because the women were like oh they just kind of sit around all day. Yeah, let them do some fucking work for once because we've been raising the kids, we've been cleaning the home, we've been working out, doing the jobs. So like there was impetus from both sides for it to happen.
Yeah, but what's really interesting is how it didn't make things equal or equitable in any way.
No.
It went back to patriarchy. It did not like balance the scales at all. It went back to the husband holds the purse strings and controls the family. And it's like really fascinating that we just it almost feels like the implication is we're just doomed. We're doomed to patriarchy.
Yeah. Let's see. Seamus. Seamus, we talked last week that both of us did not remember where the fuck the story goes, but yeah, how is it rereading volumes 13 through 15? I know you were mad about their use of the word citizen.
Yeah, yes, like, it came up twice, and I was like, this makes no sense. There's no way a Tokugawa show in it is using the word citizen.
You were asking me about what the Japanese word was, and it can be taken as citizen, or it can also be taken as subjects.
Yes, so subject makes sense. Citizen doesn't. Like citizens don't exist in Japan until 1947.
What makes a citizen?
The Constitution. Under the Meiji Constitution, they were subjects. It was only under the American Constitution they became citizens.
Okay.
Fucked it all up.
Bringing freedom to the Japanese.
It was better the one way. Meiji Constitution, all subject to the emperor, die for the emperor. Good fascist state was being developed.
Oh, Jesus.
Being developed.
What was I just saying about Ireland being the second most peaceful country in the...
There was a fascist movement in Ireland.
Yes, there was. I guess I should not conflate Ireland, Seamus, with all of Ireland, though.
It was the Asian co-op, peace and prosperity. That's what Japan is bringing to Asia. Forget about what they say, what happened in China. That's all lies. They had it coming to them, depending on the situation.
They were very concerned about what happened to China during these volumes because of the Opium Wars.
It's fair. It's fair to be concerned about that.
Mm-hmm.
We're next. Although it was very different because I think the main reason the US wanted to open the ports was for their whaling ships.
Yeah, to resupply, right? I think they mentioned that here in these volumes.
It's like they had like a massive fleet out in the Pacific and nowhere to land.
Seamus, do you know if that... oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go on.
I was going to ask you, there's a part where, let's see, Iyasada, the 13th Shogun, the female one, when Commodore Perry comes and they have that treaty, and she reads it, and she this is after Abe passed away, I think.
Mm-hmm.
She was replaced by her the male guy, I forget his name, but he was the one who idiotically said, oh, we can't sign this unless the Emperor agrees. Handing over power from Tokugawa back to the Emperor. This is a dumb fucking move that they did.
Hold on now. Back to the way it should have been. Say this as I look at my shrine to the Emperor Meiji next to my big imperial flag of Japan.
Someday somebody's going to listen to this podcast with no context about who Seamus is as a person, and they're going to be deeply, deeply disturbed.
I think that's already happened before.
It actually has. Do you have a katana set next to that flag?
No, I'm not Japanese. I'd never have a katana. Only proper Japanese samurai should have katana.
Oh wow, you're
He's deep.
Yeah,
he's in deep.
You're very respectful of that culture, huh?
That's more of the Tokugawa shogunate, though. I think they had decreed that only samurai families can have katanas. which
That's
then
true.
led to the Bakumatsu, the uprising of the Goshi, or like the middle class merchants, who were like, you know, middle class, and they wanted to be samurai too and have katanas, and the samurai class was, oh, you can't have it. It was very like classist. And then revolution. And then they banned all katanas.
Cool sword for I was gonna say cool swords for everybody, but no, I
No,
guess
it
not.
led to Rurouni Kenshin, Darfox.
I was just gonna ask when Rurouni Kenshin took place.
It's the Meiji era, yeah, during that time.
Because he had a reverse blade sword. That was the whole shtick.
You're right. You're right. No, you're right, Dakazu. There was no samurai in the Heian period. That's why I wouldn't have a katana. There you go.
When is the Heian period again?
No, it's like 1080.
Okay, so that's
like back when emperors actually, well, even then the regions really had power, but
okay.
A reverse blade is so like silly. Just be like Vash from Trigun, where you just non-lethally shoot people in the legs.
Right?
You're just like, oh, I'm gonna shoot you in your legs and shoulders so you don't die. Somehow in this post-apocalypse, like very dirty future, like a gunshot wound is not gonna get affected and kill you. But
yeah, and in like retrospect with Rurouni Kenshin and the reverse blade sword, like if you don't want to hurt people with your sword, why don't you carry a wooden sword, like a bamboo sword? If you're a good enough swordsman, it shouldn't matter that it's not metal.
Or like one of those like police baton things with like the weird little hook thing. There are non-lethal weapons out there, or I guess non-bladed weapons.
I can't believe we took a tangent into Rurouni Kenshin, but it happened. We're of the age.
Wait, what were you asking me about? Something about someone's reaction.
Yeah. So, in the peace treaty, Iesada is pissed because they were going to sign this peace treaty that gave Americans, I forget the term, but they could commit a crime, they'd be charged.
Extraterritoriality.
Yeah. Is it extradition? Is that the?
I think it's extraterritoriality.
Extraterritoriality. Okay.
Do you know if that was actually in the treaty and that was the thing that got passed?
I don't know, was it in this treaty, but that was a general thing for a lot of those treaties. Yeah, I'd say it's probably in that treaty, yeah. Or at least if it wasn't in that one, it'd be in a later one. That was in the same treaty as the Japanese would have the Chinese and Korean sign later.
Okay.
That was standard enough unequal treaty parlance. Well, to be fair, I probably wouldn't let the Chinese government at the time try anybody if I could avoid it.
Yeah, I mean...
I don't know if go as bad, but...
Okay.
That was part of the treaty. Well, that would have been part of those treaties, surely.
Makes sense. All right, Dar, I know you only got to really read Volume 13, you skimmed the other two.
Right.
But what did you think about Volume 13, at least?
I mean, I liked it as much as I liked a lot of the other volumes where it felt like I wasn't like completely on top of it. But I did think the story of like the family that just fell apart instantly when like the
Takayama's family.
Yeah, when the father of the family like cheated on the wife with the boss of the wife, and then she cut them up and then killed herself, and then the brother came and told him and killed himself instantly. It just, Jesus fuck, that like literally, that family literally just ceased to exist like for one moment to another. It's pretty harsh.
I thought it was pretty interesting. Takayama is the name he's given when he works in the Ooku, but that character, he was learning at a school that was run by Master Omi, and Master Omi was the son of who was the character from
Kuroki?
No, it wasn't Kuroki. It was the other one.
Oh no, Ihei.
Yeah, it was Ihei's child.
There is Kuroki's grandson, I think, is in the inner chambers under. There is a Kuroki in the inner chambers serving the Iesada also.
Yes, I think you're right, Morgan. It's the grandson. Yeah, and he at one point he asked, like, "Can I go back and attend the funeral?" Because what's going on? Cholera.
It's nasty. You don't want it. Open your ports and you get all these European diseases. It's
Yep.
terrible.
Got to be like that one family member, the guy who was super bossy and said like, "I'm gonna fucking rape you right now, Abe."
Man, she's so good.
She collected under pressure. Abe is a great character.
She's so good. She is like, she's my favorite kind of like hyper competent woman character. I just loved everything about her and how dedicated she was to Iasada and how much she wanted like her to succeed.
She's like the second coming of Tanuma, who served under the 10th shogun Tokugawa Ieyasu.
I also liked that she was a little round. I liked she was cute. Like she had a good look. I don't know. I mentioned it before, but I do like Fumio Shinaga's diversity of character and facial quality. There's one character. He becomes the great elder after the other senior chamberlain is dismissed for being a dumbass. Yeah, he has the most like ukiyo-e, like kabuki ass face. Like he looks like he jumped right out of a fucking piece of art from the time period. He's just got this like nose that I don't know. He says got such a good face. Like I just love her variety of character.
I like that one character who's like works as a spy in the Ooku and reports to was it Taniatsu? Yeah.
With his like buck teeth.
Taniatsu, yeah, the buck teeth and like so like, we're plump like in front of his it's just fucking I think it's got to be implied that killed Iasada, right?
Yeah, that was I was really heartsick about that. I was like, oh, so many good things are happening for Iasada and Taneatsu, like they're in love, it's so wonderful, they're gonna have a baby. And I was like, oh no, I was waiting for the shoe to drop. Actually, I was waiting for Taneatsu to actually betray her. I was like, no, please, just not that. And I'm glad it wasn't that. But I was definitely waiting for some bad news to come.
It happened right after they admitted their love for each other in the garden. Wonderful page. And then he never sees her again and is told that she died a while ago.
And that he was not allowed to be by her side while she was sick fucks me up.
Yeah.
I do not like that.
Taneatsu is, it's a poor guy, but still decides to stay on at the end of volume 15 as like now the father figure for the next shogun,
which is great and adorable and I love it, except that's gonna be weird now with the big old cliffhanger we got at the end of volume 15.
Oh, the new consort Prince Kazu being a woman.
Yep. Spoilers, Darfox shit gets real. There's titties.
Wow.
I really like the next part, so I won't say anything this week, but it's good. It's some good shit, Morgana.
The new shogun, I know her name was Tomiko. What name was she given as shogun? I can't remember.
The next shogun is Iemochi. So Iemochi is the 14th.
Okay. All these Ie names. I like her a lot too, actually. But I feel like things are not gonna go great for her. It's just a feeling I have.
Why?
Why ever would I feel that way?
What precedent could you have read in the Inner Chambers that makes you think such a thing might happen? Yeah. I think it's pretty much guaranteed. Also, like, I think they spoil it in volume 14 when it's between, like, Iemochi and the other, like, candidate, Yoshinobu. that Yoshinobu will become shogun.
Yeah, he'll be. What they said, he'd become shogun who never visits the inner chambers.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, but I don't want him to be shogun. And then I have to remember that this is like actual history, not just like a story she made up. I mean, it's a story she made up, but also like with an actual historical frame. So
Yeah.
So speaking of that, is the whole curing of the red pox just a way for her to keep the plausible deniability of this alternate history maybe being actual history, which is kind of like one that can see to the book?
Yes.
Because by the time the Americans come in, unless the story is going to become about a worldwide men like genocide, which would have been a whole other story, which would have been really interesting. You know, you said they're going to bring the disease. Well, they could have come and gotten our disease or the Japanese disease from that perspective, which was the red pox, and spread that all across the world. But like that obviously didn't happen in our history. So it's like Fumi knew that like okay, eventually I got to get to like Commodore Perry, and how are we gonna how are we gonna reconcile the red pox with foreigners coming in?
gotta cure it.
Yeah, like gotta cure it. So like she spent like 4 volumes, kind of like a storyline to cure it, and then we roll into the Commodore Perry stuff, which is I don't know if she always had that plan, but like it just seems like something that like reading it along with the podcast, it kind of felt like it was like a panic moment. It was like, oh shit, I gotta spend time and kind of wrap this up before we get to Commodore Perry. But I don't know, maybe that was the idea all along.
Possibly, maybe she worked with her editor to come up with like a format about okay, we're gonna do this kind of storyline here. This is a setup. We can tell this kind of story here with the fifth shogun. Tell this story with the eighth shogun. It's like she's done such a good job of like associating a lot of actual historical facts of these shogun with like their storylines and what happens. And so I'm gonna assume Darfox that she planned it out. She did the work. She didn't just go into panic mode and like was like, oh shit.
It does feel kind of weird though to be in this at this point in the series where like we don't even give a shit about the red face pox anymore. Like this is not an issue. It was such a big deal for most of the series.
It's like the whole central conceit, and then now it's like,
Right.
okay, we're past that. Now it's like, now we're fully invested into like the politicking of the people in the inner chamber and surrounding the inner chamber. But like the whole selling point, I've talked to multiple people who've asked me, oh, what are you reading now? And I say, oh, it's this kind of interesting book called Ooku. It's kind of like it's kind of like a dense read sometimes, but then I kind of like explain to them, and they get like really hyped when I start explaining to them. They're like, "What, really? Will all the men die off?" And like, "What? Women are in charge?" And I'm explaining this, and like I never get to the point where I'm like, "Well, like 12 volumes in, that all gets reverted." I never get to that point because obviously, like if I'm doing a elevator pitch for something, I don't need to get that far. But
yeah, I mean, like most of the volumes here are about women shogun, so I don't think you're selling them something that is like, aha, fooled you.
right. But
I remember.
it's interesting.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'll just say that's interesting that like we got far enough into it, and ML is just like completely in the past, the Red Pox stuff.
I remember both you and Morgana were asking if is the red face pox just like a vehicle to start this story and we're not going to talk about it anymore. And then Seamus and I were like, whoa, it will come up again. So and it has, and we've gotten past that point. And it's because she's going to follow the Tokugawa shogunate to its end. So yeah, that's the trajectory we are on for the last 4 volumes as well.
You said shogunate to its end. I thought you said shogun tits. I'm sorry.
What?
Also those. We will follow the shogun.
There's some consort tits at the end of volume 15
until the end.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what you get for not reading. I guess.
Missing on
the tits.
I mean, unfortunately, you just missed out on like the entire romance between Yasada and Tanatsu.
I feel like you missed out on some actually pretty straightforward stuff.
Like digestible by Dark Fox
Yep.
stuff.
The second coming of Oman, but with a reverse color scheme for his whatever he's wearing.
Wait, who?
Oman is like he's what is it, Sir Akito? No, that's not Akito.
Akihito? Akihito.
He was the guy who was like a monk. Wait, that was him, wasn't it? And they were like, "Oh, you can't leave."
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, like in the first one.
Akihito.
wait,
Sorry,
yeah.
everybody.
He was like the first. Was he like the first chamberlain, or
Yes.
he was the first concubine?
Okay.
Oh no, he was the first like or the only concubine to be the actual chamberlain as well as the whatever consort that was.
Yeah, for Iemitsu the third in the flashback. Yeah, the first version, the first time the shogun became a female.
Wow.
He was that handsome, and yeah. This new consort for Iasada is considered the second coming. It's kind of funny. Go ahead.
Guy's name begins with T. Is it like Takayama puts on like the old omen thing to kind of stir up the inner chamber and be like, look, we all still have a purpose here. We're not all just like useless layabouts. So the original purpose was, hey, protect the shogun. And then the other guy arrives and he's like, oh yeah, I can never wear this again now. Shit.
Yeah, Tanatsu is like, oh, I want to wear that pattern that Arikoto famously wore. And Takayama's like, shit. I was about to say, Seamus, that they set up Takayama as like, oh, this is going to be the guy. He's going to be the guy to help Iasada get over her trauma. But nope. It's Tanatsu. It's this spy from the Sakuma who's the new consort. And he is going to help soothe and make Iasada happy.
And I like that. I like that he became a friend and retainer more than a romantic interest. And I like that he was really suspicious of Taneatsu at first and very like careful. And then even he was like, nah, I'm into this guy. Like we're bros now. We're all cool. I just love the way the two of them, even after Iasada dies, like the rapport the two of them have, and how like, I don't know, you got these two hot dudes who are just like having a lot of feelings about their dead lord. Like you guys are so good. This is what it was all about. This is why Fumio Yoshinaga made this series.
You were saying that as you're reading, like in volume 15.
Oh
the
yeah.
flashback of like their last night together in the garden.
Oh yeah, they're like, yeah. And then when Taneatsu and Takayama are like crying after she dies, and I'm just like, oh, they just love her so much, and they love each other so much, and they loved Abe so much, and they were just such a good like little quartet, like a good little team, and they were just torn asunder by these horrible politics. It's so dramatic and so romantic and so good. It's juicy. These were juicy volumes.
Yeah, I did cry like when Abe revisits what is it? The 13th Shogun, Iasada in the garden, and Iasada's riding a horse, and she's like, she's been eating more, she's gotten healthy, and she cries about like, even though she's dying young, she's her life had purpose. Which is, it's followed by a scene of Iasada being pissed about how dare she because she mentioned something. Oh, I got sick so you could get healthy.
Yeah.
And that made her super upset. But then Taneatsu explains like, no, Abe's dying and she's looking at like a reason to live. It's very sweet. And then they have sex for the first time. Consummate that marriage.
I just love the morning after where Kuroki's like, I can't get the Lord Consort out of bed. He won't come, and he says he has a special dispensation from the Shogun. And Takayama shows up and he's like, congratulations on consummating your marriage.
Mm-hmm. And then they bang a lot. They have a lot of sex.
Hey, if you want to have a baby, that's how you do it. You just keep going.
It's very sad about her unborn child. She gets pregnant and then she is killed. I think yeah. They say like she got sick, but I think we're gonna assume that she got killed. She was in the way of the great elder E, what he wanted to do with like succession and also like opening up the country, and E also gets killed off like unceremoniously. We don't even see, that he gets
Yep.
killed.
We
It's
see
just
his head.
reported. He was assassinated.
He doesn't deserve for his assassination to be seen. What a jackass.
I feel like that was a conscious choice by Fumi Yoshinaga. It's like, we don't need to see this guy get taken out. He just needs to be written off, and then we need to move along. Because some of them we do. Like, Harusada getting poisoned. That needed to happen. We need to see that. Morgana, is there anything else that I'm missing from these 3 volumes that we haven't talked about yet?
I don't think so. I think I said my piece.
I guess we didn't mention Tokugawa Nariaki, the guy who's like, we're the barbarians out camp.
Yeah, that's the part that I'm just like, okay, you're some other family and you hate everybody. Cool. You assassinate E. They assassinate E, right? No, wait. Yes? I don't know. That's the part of it that I'm a little lost
Confused?
on. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like someone from Mito who were they're like a branch of the Tokugawa. They assassinate him.
Well, he was the father.
I think there was like a few of them. It wasn't just like it's like a conspiracy.
Yeah, E when he got into the power and became the Great Elder, people were like, "Well, we don't agree with you." And he was like, "Well, we're gonna fucking purge you from the government, like just
Yeah, he was
take away your
intense.
land, banish you, punish you, assign you with crimes, all sorts of shit." And so Nariaki was the head of the Mito branch, and he was the father of Yoshinobu,
Right.
the other candidate. Yeah. We saw a little of Yoshinobu, but yeah.
Lots of house arrest going on. Thanks to E.
Kind of interesting that they aren't outright killed off.
Or
Which
look,
leads to
you
Yoshinobu
can't be
coming
going
back
around
later.
killing like Tokugawa family members or high-ranking daimyo.
The other character we didn't really talk about was Shimazu Nariakira. He was the adopted father of Taneatsu in the Satsuma clan. He's a very sly character.
Very shrewd.
Mm-hmm. Taneatsu is like, I think you're sending me there to disrupt things because you want power. And, Nari Akira denies it. He's like, oh, I don't have such aspirations. But later on, Taneatsu realizes, oh shit, this guy wants to fucking do a rebellion. Straight up take the Tokugawa out of power. Too bad Nari Akira died of heat stroke on his way to, like, sending troops to Edo. Rest in peace.
Life comes at you fast, bro.
I mean, technically, that's the same thing that happened to Iesada's father, Iyoshi. That stupid pedo incest asshole. Right as Commodore Perry came in, he was like, oh no, what's gonna happen? We need Abe, and then he's dead.
I didn't mention, if I was the Iesada's mother, and I found out that her father was defiling her.
Oh god, yeah, the mother was so bad.
I don't fucking care if he's the shogun. I would rip him to shreds and do with me what you will. I would not let anybody do that to my child. I cannot understand a mother who would let that happen to her daughter. I cannot. And I know that, whatever, not all mothers have these same feelings or whatever, and I understand that, like, there's politics and there's fear and whatever. I don't care. There is no power on this earth. And this is me speaking of, position in the modern world as a modern mother. But boy, oh boy, did that boil my blood.
She chose power. She chose Iyayoshi over her daughter. You saw how excited she got when it was announced that Iyasada was going to be the next heir. She's going, I'm going to be the mother of the shogun. And Iyasada was like, I'm so fucking over this. This sucks.
Neptic in the chat. Yo.
Oh, hey, Neptic. We talked about your comment you left about Swing Girls earlier. Right now we're in the middle of finishing out our discussion on these 3 volumes of Ooku, the Inner Chambers. Oh, Morgana, I assume you love the fact that both Abe and Iyasada were into Castilla sponge cakes. And Iyasada was also like known for like, I'm good at making cakes.
That was the cutest. That whole, like, I don't know, their relationship was really good. Like, that kind of, like, in a different time, in different positions, they would have been like BFFs. You know what I mean? Like, they would have been like childhood best friends. The function of their positions and the fact that Iyasada was obviously Lord um over Abe made things a little bit different, but they just, like, the kind of, you know platonic love between them is just so good. It's so good. I just and especially especially Iyasada's kind of, like, begrudging acceptance of it is very cute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of great Abe moments in this series. Besides scouting Takayama, there's that thing where wasn't she asked to like put an end to the ladies and the Ooku sneaking out to the temple? I thought that was like pretty interesting. And she completes like that task super easy. Or you see Abe doing like dealing with a case that had taken 17 years old. And she's praised by some other guy like, "Oh, that case has been going around for 17 years. You did such a great job. That must have been difficult." And she's like, "No. It's been going on for 17 years. They probably wanted to fucking like be done with it. It was actually very easy."
Yeah, she's, like, whip smart and humble, and humble not without knowing her abilities, right? She knows what she can do, and she's very serious about it, and um I don't know, she's just such a good character. She's the kind of person I would like to know in real life, like, somebody who's just really, I don't level-headed. I just, usually frequently in fiction, I'm like, I'm happy, characters who are messy are interesting, right? She's not messy. She's got her shit together, and I am like, she's just very impressive. I really liked her a lot. I don't know. It's the kind of person you want as your friend.
Oh yeah. She was able to like, she didn't make enemies. She tried her best to like listen to people and reason with them. And I think that's like the difference between her and Tanuma.
Yeah, she's a really good diplomat.
She did rise to power early and quickly like Tanuma, but she wasn't resented for it. Like
She wasn't trying to.
mm-hmm. I wonder if Fumio Yoshinaga is saying something about that though, because in Tanuma's time it was all the other like diplomats and the big wigs were like women, right? And here it's like mostly been changed to men, and Abe is actually like kind of like out of place in the changing of like all the men taking over the government roles. Maybe she had an easier time because she was dealing with men. I don't know. A possible thought.
I think in her case, as well, though. Like her family is like well established.
Oh yeah, they had the explanation how the Abe family were always like what do you call it, like a doppelganger or a double
Yeah, like
for the
retainer.
Tokugawa, and even the very first Tokugawa. It's not Iemitsu. Oh god, I can't even remember the name.
Ieyasu.
Ieyasu, yeah, the one who established the Tokugawa shogunate when he was a political prisoner as a child. This Abe child helped save them. Wasn't Abe Masahiro really touched because Iyasada knew that story, and she was surprised. It was like,
Yes.
oh my god, this is like such an old story about our house of Abe, which
And
we all know, but
and impressed because it was clear that she knew, like that she just knew that history at all. And obviously, she was more than just like a pretty face or a figurehead. Like she understood, the families and the history.
mhm. Yeah, I think we've covered everything. Am I missing anything, Seamus? Anything else?
I did find I thought they were laying on it a bit thick with her and the Shogun. I was like, all right. In reality, they probably were not these like nice people who actually give a shit about the fucking realm. Like, come on now.
Okay, but it's been a lot of dire and depressing stories for a long time.
It's true, but
Let's-
I'm just like this is Republican in me coming out. It's like, nah, come on now. Like, fuck these people up against the wall.
I think it reads better if you have a sympathy for the shoguns who are actually trying to do a good job governing. I mean, technically, the 8th shogun Yoshimune, she was very effective, and everyone considers her like the best shogun, right? So there are cases of these shoguns.
Not so much they're governing; it's more like concern for the people and stuff. And I'm like, I question how much they really give a shit about like the 99% of the population they rule over.
I mean, yeah, in general, I have to imagine, and not just in the Tokugawa shogunate, but in general in inherited leadership positions, I'm sure at least one generation in several did actually try to be an effective leader. You know what I mean? Like I have to imagine that they're not all incompetent until we get into all the inbreeding and stuff, and then
Or maybe it's more about just staying in power, which I guess.
yeah,
I feel like when you say I feel like effective leader, it's like you can be an effective leader doesn't mean you actually give a shit about the people you're ruling beyond as like
yeah.
means to an end. Like who was the guy during the Red Pact? He was an effective leader. He eliminated the Red Pact. He was like, take the vaccine or you fucking die. Like that's how we're doing this. That was effective.
Okay, fair. But
Seamus
also,
tells it like it is.
no, he's right. He's right. I mean, definitely. I just like to think that again, in any of these circumstances where you have somebody rise to power, where I mean, people who are voted in, I think they all kind of have their own interests at heart, personally. But in these situations of monarchies or inherited positions, I have to hope, just given the diversity of human personality, that at least one of them somewhere in the line actually did give a shit. But this is me being an idealist, and I recognize that.
This is alternative history fiction, Morgana. Let's just take these characters and the good ones, and let's just love them for who they are.
Yes, that's where I'm at.
I mean, like honestly, I do feel like in a monarchy situation, and I'm not defending monarchy, but because if in a republic, if you're voting into power, there is an inherent ego oriented drive to get into power. But in a monarchy,
Right.
you could just be kind of like a kind person that's just born into this thing. Although I guess that gets into like nature versus nurture stuff. And how kind can you be if you are born with a silver spoon in your mouth?
Right. How much empathy can you really have?
Yeah, but
I will point out, this is only
Yeah.
one example. The main reason Hirohito agreed to surrender wasn't because he gave a shit about the people of Japan. He was worried if they didn't surrender, there'd be a social revolution, and he'd go away to Romanovs.
I mean, yeah.
And to
Wow,
my mind,
sounds like
he's-
Hirohito sucks.
to my mind, he's a lot closer. And like, if you read about other monarchs, like a lot of this, like when they go for political reform, it's ultimately because they see it as a benefit to them. Well, not all of them are like that. There is some, but like, a lot of it is like, oh, I need to like, I don't know, get rid of serfdom in Russia because otherwise it's going to fuck up this country long term in a way that'll threaten our power. Like there is a mix of, like, I don't know, humanitarianism there in some of them, but like these are all people who are born to be like you by your very birth you rule these people. They are your subjects. Their lives are yours to do as you will. This country is yours to do as you will. It kind of comes up here where they're like, well, hold on now. If like, you know, we're not loyal to the Tokugawa, then it's like, they're like, everyone, people should be given power based on their like ability, or position to power based on their ability. And like the shogun has kind of realized, hold on, the internet is kind of like, well, why do we even have the shogunate? I think even the people with the Meiji Restoration, I guess, if they knew actually in about 50 years' time the daimyo are going to be gone, the samurai are going to be gone, I kind of wonder how many of them would actually have gone through with it the way they did. I have a far more pessimistic view of monarchy.
We're gonna read more about that in the next volumes. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I mean, I am absolutely not in favor of monarchy, and I don't want to imply that at all. I just want to. There's this, part of me that just wants to believe that there's good people in all kinds of, positions. I am firmly with you, Seamus. I absolutely agree. I'm just, praying that maybe, not all monarchs.
Well, maybe for next episode, because it's the final episode, we'll run through the volumes and we'll talk about the story. And maybe we'll, Morgana will rank these. We'll rank these shoguns from best to worst.
Would that not involve us remembering what happened with a lot of them?
It's okay. We have Darfox here, so I'll plan for this. I will give a nice brief explanation about, the good parts and bad parts of all.
I thought you were gonna say we have Darfox here, and he knows all these shogun, and
He'll give
us the rundown. Come on, give Dar some credit.
Explain it to me as if I were a child.
I can give Darfox all the credit for like Death Stranding stuff, which I found out yesterday. So, just people have their specialties.
Were you impressed yesterday? Is that what that
was? Somewhere in between impressed and
worried for me.
Yes.
By the way, I've been having this conversation simultaneously watching the live stream and like simultaneously reacting. Like,
oh boy.
So sometimes my ADHD brain is good for something.
Well, for Darfox's sake, we'll start wrapping up. We've been talking about this a lot.
I do want to mention that character
go
scene, because I did think that was like a highlight. It did kind of remind me of the previous garden scene where the Shogun told her retainer, kill yourself.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you tweeted about that.
Interesting parallel.
That immediately came to my mind. It's like, because it's the same kind of like view at the end, slightly, where they're looking out together, except in that case they're like separated and it's daytime.
A lot of important shit happens on that fucking veranda.
But I even like the whole thing when she said like I love you, and how it was like, because it was like she was like go away, because it was like he was too hot in that old man like take on costume. And she's like,
she
okay,
was
turn
too
away.
hot and bothered, yeah.
Yes, she was like, no, turn away, now turn around just a little bit. She said like she loved him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the one video. And then like, but even in this, like, I did think like the way there's like so much white out in the paneling, it kind of was like simultaneously like taking the world away from him, but also when you kind of see that she's dead, like in 2 chapters later, it kind of almost feels like also that this is kind of like the end, really.
I mean, I feel like if you're reading up to that point, you don't realize that, and then the next chapter, it's like, no, she's long dead. It's like, holy shit.
Let me just say, I wasn't surprised that she died, though. Like, I was disappointed, but I knew something bad was gonna happen.
Then you get that flashback about, the pocket watch. And she's like, this very moment may be the happiest of my life.
But they use that like white taking over the panel actually for that Paco watch scene as well, where it's like half the panel there's just like she's just like white toned it out to the point where it's even like obscuring I don't know, like a thing. I don't know what the thing is meant
The
to be.
veranda, the rest of like there's a little table that holds
Yes,
like
that's
everything.
it, that little table thing.
I think as a lamp, yeah. And like you said, Seamus, whitening out the world, it's only the two of them. Their positions, their status, nothing else matters. Then, like, after she says that, the next page is poor Taneatsu with the watch in his hand, and the entire panel is dark. It's like the contrast of that 2-page spread is fantastic. Good comics that we're reading right now, everyone. Yeah, Dar, I wanted to turn to you and say, do you have any expectations or what you expect of as we reach the end of Ooku, the Inner Chambers? Still enjoying it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a fraud on this podcast. But hey, whatever. I feel fraud saying that I enjoy it because I didn't even read this week's chapters, but I recognize the quality in the book, and I like it. Even if
I mean, you're gonna have to read the chapters, the volumes, and next week's volumes as well.
you mean
Otherwise, you're gonna be lost.
volumes?
There's no way you can jump ahead.
You underestimate my power.
Just go onto Wikipedia and like read up about the end of the Bakamatsu period. I'll give you at least the political context. Although I guess I don't know how many names you hold in your head.
He's just gonna be so lost about like what's happening between the Emperor's Kyoto court and the shogunate. Why like this Prince Kazu is arriving.
What's the deal? Well, I don't know. That's doesn't that play up in the next volume?
Yeah, they might
more the
explain
Imperial
it.
Court.
They might explain that. Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking of something else that's going to happen next.
Okay,
Well,
okay,
probably
don't
next
mention
couple
it.
of volumes.
Don't mention it.
Well,
Morgana.
like I said, I think if people go to Wikipedia, like they'll know what I'm talking about. Like that's like fucking. This is not like state secret here. Like
Okay, fair enough. Morgana, same question to you.
Oh yeah, I'm having a great time. I told you I almost read volume 16 just because. So yeah, it's good stuff. It is very good comics. Fumi Yoshinaga is a master. I love her stuff.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. And yeah, Seamus, anything else to add besides that? You really like that garden scene?
no, I think that's it for me. I was looking ahead to like I like these last few volumes up on Goodreads. The next few volumes I don't like, or me of 4 years ago did not like them that much.
Interesting. We'll see how
I'm kind
we
of curious.
next week.
Like,
yeah. I will say for me, I'm surprised how little I remembered about this. But once I started reading it, I was like, "Oh right, her dad sucks. This guy sucks."
You didn't remember it because too many wholesome things happened and it wasn't fraught enough.
I think also like this is the time in like when I was trying to read in Japanese where like when the world politics were happening, I was like, "What the fuck am I reading?" And I just couldn't keep up. But like in English, it makes a lot more sense. So I'm definitely glad to reread this in English. But yeah, I think that is a good place to wrap up this episode, this part 5 of Ooku the Inner Chambers. I want to thank Darfox and Morgana and Seamus for joining me this week. If you enjoy our podcast, make sure you subscribe and review us and rate us. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever else you can find us. If you want to support us, you can buy us a coffee. Head over to ko-fi.com/mangamac and buy us a coffee so we can buy more manga. Make sure to check out our website, mangamachinations.com. Our Tumblr is mangamachinations.tumblr.com. If you want to see this live stream that we recorded on our YouTube channel, subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/mangamactv. Make sure to check out our other YouTube channel, Manga Mac Watches. Let's see, you can also come join our Discord server. Go to discord.me/mangamac. That link is now working. And yeah, you can come join our Discord and come talk to us and ask us questions. Oh, shout out to Neptic, who showed up in the chat and who provided us a question this week. Let's see, you can send us emails at mangamachinations, mangamachinations@gmail.com. And follow us on social media at Manga Mac Podcast. That's Manga MAC Podcast. And that's for Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, everything else. And you can follow my personal social media at Dakazoo. Follow Darfox at Darfox8. Follow Morgana at Morgana Relina. And follow Seamus at Seamus2389. Remember, everyone, Seamus is spelled without an H. All right, everyone, thank you so much for listening to us this week. Bye-bye.